I personally think atheism exists because people are lazy and they don't want to be pushed out of their comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't prove there's a God, and you can't prove that there is a God, and you also cannot prove that there is not a God, then we need to ask ourselves, well, what do we want? Do we want there to be no God? Or do we want there to be a God? If we want a God, then we need to figure out, well, who is God and what would he expect of me? And most people would say, well, he probably wants me to be a nice guy, loving, caring. If there is no God, then really the key to life, if there is no God, and someone could debate me on this, I don't care. The key to life, if there is no God, is to have as much fun as you possibly can and die before the consequences catch up to you. That's the way I see it. I could be wrong. But if I knew there was no God, I'd be like, all right, I probably got average U.S. life expectancy 78 years old. How much fun can I possibly have? Because when I die, we're done. So let's go have fun. Whatever you think your fun is. Tear it up. Have fun. But if there is a God, then we need to understand the fact that we're going to have to meet him one day. And when we do meet him, is it going to be a well done, thou good and faithful servant? Like, I gave you little hints of my existence, and you did a pretty darn good job of trying to figure things out. Or is it going to be I gave you a world, I gave you a body, there's a spirit in that body, you were on that earth, you could have done anything you wanted to do, and you never once concluded that there might be a higher power, and you never once thought that maybe I should thank that higher power for my existence. Maybe I should look to that higher power and ask that higher power for advice or guidance. And I think that'd be a pretty miserable experience to stand in front of the creator of all things and have to explain to him why you didn't care. And so back to this, like, was atheism right? We don't know. We can't prove either way. But I want to have a God, which means I'm going to start acting as if there is a God. So wanting a God is kind of planting the seed. Acting as if there probably is a God is what's going to constitute faith in that God. I'm now acting as if I truly believe there's a God. So first, let's go back to, I hope there's a God. I'm going to act as if there is one. That's now we're starting to talk about faith. Now what happens is, when you're hoping there's a God and you're acting as if there is a God, you start to find out that there really is a God. But you can't prove it. But you know it. But I can't prove it. But I do know it. And so we get into this, like, who is he? How do we get to know him better? And I know it for myself, and that's really a very sweet and unique concept, to know God to a degree. Because like I said earlier, none of us really know him, but to know him to a degree. And how do I know him? Well, I know God is the great organizer. He also organized me, so I'm going to call him Father. So we've got a God, he's my Father, he's my creator. Did he create the gene sequencing that all life comes from? In my mind, yeah. Did he create the heavens and the earth? Did he put the earth at just the right distance from the sun? Did he create a north and a south pole that shields us from radiation that's flying through space? Did he, I just learned this not long ago, did he tilt the earth at just the right axis? Because the right axis is what kind of creates those gravitational pulls. Did he put the moon to create the tides and the weather patterns that we have that also helps create earth? there's a thing on what's the difference between Mars and Earth, because they both could potentially be life, but there's a lot of little things that Mars doesn't have. So once again, the question basically kind of boils down to this: is there a God? Who is God? Do I want a God? And how do I know if there really is a God? And when you start looking at it this way, it starts to make a lot of sense that, like, yeah, I do want a God. I do want to get out of my comfort zone and be a better person. This all starts to make a lot of sense. And another driving force for atheism, sorry, I haven't really talked in a while. But
I'm enjoying it. I'm sucking everything in.
Another part of atheism is the simple fact that a lot of people don't want to have afterlife consequences. And they've been taught, and I don't know why this has become such a popular notion. They've been taught that if they don't live up to God's expectations, they will be sentenced to hell. And I think that notion is crazy, and I wish we could look at it differently. I wish we could look at it in the fact that, like, if you make mistakes, which we all do, nobody's perfect. If you make mistakes, you'll be all right, because there's going to be a way that you can correct those mistakes. If you understand and interpret God wrong, you'll be fine, because you'll be able to figure out the true one and true God one day. So I think a lot of people are confronted with this simple concept that, like, if you don't understand God, if you don't live right, you're going to hell. Which I personally, I mean, call me out, call me a bad person, I don't believe in that. Now, a lot of people might then turn around and say, well, if you don't believe in hell, then you can have a God and you can also do whatever you want. And I also talked about how, like, not necessarily, because I don't want to be that guy that's embarrassed when I'm standing in front of God and he's wondering why I live the way that I lived. So is there a hell, or is there people who are, is there a hell, or is there souls that have to stand before God and feel really dumb? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know these answers, but I know where I want to be. And that's a better person, helping others, raising a nice little family. And hopefully when I stand before the judgment bar or stand before Christ, I will know that it's my God and that he's a forgiving God, and that though I made mistakes, I'll be all right.
If you enjoy watching Eric Winley discuss why he thinks atheists are lazy, you may enjoy the full episode as well. You can access it by clicking the link here. Also, if you're interested, you may enjoy this video as well. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.